This is the BMW i4 M50, and this is BMW's first fully electric performance sedan. In the past, BMW liked to be known as the ultimate driving machine. And here with BMW's first take at a fully electric performance sedan, do we have the world's first electric ultimate driving machine? Let's find out. The i4 comes in two different configurations. You've got the eDrive 40, which is rear-wheel drive, and then you got this, the M50, which is dual motors and all-wheel drive. The E40 gets 335 horsepower, and this M50 gets 536 combined. Now, the range on this is 227 miles. That's because this has the optional 20-inch wheels and tires. If it didn't have that, this would be 277. And even though this has an M badge, this is from the M Sport division, which means it isn't a real M car. This is more like an M440i if you're looking at the gas vehicle. Now this is based on the CLAR architecture, which is shared with pretty much every gas-powered BMW you can buy today, including the 3 Series, the 4 Series, and so forth. So this doesn't scream electric, and I think that's what they're aiming for in terms of their audience, people who want an EV, but don't want to say, hey, I've got an EV, look at how hipster I am. BMW's done a very interesting treatment with the tail lights. With this swoosh, it's now very smooth and a continuous looking LED. Now styling is very subjective, and you can see here we still have the massive twin kidney grille, which has gotten bigger every year. Here it's covered in plastic and sort of looks a little bit more digital, I guess you could say. Now I'm getting used to it, but let me know what your thoughts are on this massive grille. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I'm a huge sports car nut. So the fact that we have a performance sedan that's an EV is really cool, and there's really only one natural competitor to it, which is the Tesla Model 3 Performance. So the M50 starts at $65,900, and it qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit, which should bring it down quite a bit. I think the competitors for this are Tesla Model 3 Performance, as I mentioned before, and even though these aren't really sedans, the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance, and also the Polestar 2. Now you might compare it to an entry-level Porsche Taycan, but that starts at $87,000. This car is spec'd up to $76,670, which includes the $2,500 high-performance 20-inch wheel and tire package. And this is one very entertaining EV. Now, when you think about BMW, the thing that I think about first is handling and suspension. BMW has got a reputation for doing that. They've always done it well. The big question is, how good is this in the dynamics department? After all, if you're gonna get the M50 version of this, you're probably buying it because you like performance and you like handling. So we're here in the mountains to find out. Now, this does have adaptive dampers. There's 2 modes. There's normal and sport. And right now I'm in sport mode, and cruising through these canyons, does it feel like a BMW? I guess that's the question. And the answer is, yes, it does, but it feels like a very heavy BMW because this is about 5,000 pounds, which is quite heavy for a sedan, as you might imagine. It does have very good mechanical grip though. It has Pirelli P0 Elec T tires, which are tires that are specifically made for high-performance EVs. You can find these tires also on the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance Edition. And I like them. They've got a lot of grip. They're not the most communicative in the world. So because this is the M50, that means we get dual motors. And what BMW says is most of the time, the power is going to the rear wheel, so it does feel like a rear-wheel drive. But when you accelerate heavily, or you are coming out of a corner and you want a little bit of extra juice to get you out of that corner more quickly, this will apply power to the front wheels as needed. And here's the big question. So is this really an M car? Is this sort of an M BMW? And the answer is not quite, because part of it is just because of the weight, I think. Now, I am a longtime BMW fan and previous owner. I should sort of let that out for full disclosure. I actually had a BMW 1M for about 10 years, and that is one of the most iconic BMWs of the modern era that there is. And I can tell you that driving this compared to driving that is a very different experience. This definitely is more digital, I think you would say. but it does feel pretty good. It does feel pretty connected. One of my criticisms in the past of BMW steering is that it sort of lacks feel, but I think they've done a pretty good job here, actually. I don't know how much feel there is, but it definitely weights up in the corners pretty naturally. It's got a couple different modes that you can put it in, and I think it's fairly connected with what's going on with the front tires. I'm on very, very smooth pavement here, but I feel like I can feel the road what it's doing a little bit. There's definitely some communication going on. To me, this is an improvement over what we had in the past. So this does have a couple driving modes, and one of them is called Sport Boost. Let's put it in Sport Boost. And so this gives us an extra 10 seconds of full power. It gives us an extra 67 horsepower over what you get in normal sport. I guess you could call it an overboost function, kind of an odd thing. So this gives you the full 536 horsepower and all the little torque bunnies sitting inside these motors, which are actually designed by BMW. And BMW says that these motors are 93% efficient compared to a much lower figure for their gas cars. I forget what that is. And this thing is legitimately quick. Now, when you want to stop, the brakes are pretty good, but if you like to go around corners, and let's say you've driven an M5 before, this is sort of in the same weight class as an M5, but this is considerably heavier than the M3 and the M3 competition. Now, in terms of power, here's a tunnel. It does get up to speed very quickly, and I think, I don't know if I exhausted those full 10 seconds there, but man, it does have a lot of go when you want to hit it. And of course, being an electric car, the power comes on very smoothly, it's very linear. But is this as engaging as a real M car? That is the question. And you know, it's missing the engine note for me, so it doesn't quite have that same level of engagement. That's part of it. And that soundtrack that you're hearing, that's Hans Zimmer. Yeah, the guy who did Inception. Now, these Hans Zimmer noises actually do sound very cool, but in addition to just sounding cool, I think they're actually pretty useful for driving quickly in the canyons or any kind of quick driving. So right now I'm at fairly low load. Now my foot's off the throttle completely, so you can hear there's not much sound going on at all from the Hans Zimmer soundtrack. When you give it a little bit of juice, you get that kind of sound. When I give it everything, you get that little symphonic sound. But what I like about it specifically is when I'm driving through the canyons like this, it is sensitive to the load that I'm putting on the car. So it's not just the speed or just the throttle position, but it's actually load and how much power I'm applying. And it does mimic to some degree what you would feel with an ICE engine, a gas engine. And when you're driving quickly and you want that audible feedback, that feedback that you get from a gas engine, this sort of replaces it in a strange kind of way. So actually, I do think it is a useful sound. It's not just a gimmick to me, and we are going to figure out what the efficiency of this is, driving it like the way I'm driving it like a monkey today. I don't think it's going to be particularly good, but we're going to see what it's going to cost to charge up, and we're going to see roughly how far we think we can go in this car. Oh my gosh, it does get up to speed very quickly indeed. The i4, unlike nearly every other EV on sale right now, is not built on a bespoke architecture. Instead, the i4 shares the same platform as the regular gas 4 Series and the 3 Series and, well, pretty much every modern BMW. So it should bring the EV version more in line with the price of its gas counterparts. I think this is one of the best interiors at this price point on an EV I have seen yet. So this is actually the base interior for this vehicle. This has a synthetic leather fabric. It's called Tacora Red. It feels really nice. These seats are heated, they're not cooled unfortunately, and there's a really nice blend of materials in here. You've got aluminum accents on the doors, you've got some ambient LED lighting, and it's just simple and classy, and it's not drab like some of the older BMWs used to be. It's definitely got a very upscale vibe to it, and it looks to me like BMW brought their A game for the interior. The controls all feel really nice. They've got nice tactile sensations to them. I wish it had a physical heating and ventilation control system, but aside from that, it's pretty good. The Harman Kardon sound system is quite decent. I think most people will be happy with it, and there's plenty of space in the back for tall people. Now, if you're the kind of person that enjoys technology, I think you're going to really like this, because this is a typical BMW in that it is loaded with tech. And we got this huge wraparound screen here. It's actually two screens, one in the center, one in front of the driver, and they're big and they're very good. They are bright, the black levels are really good, and they're pretty easy to control. There's a ton of information that you can display and configure pretty much just the way you want it in this car. And another thing that BMW does really well is give you a lot of individuality in terms of the way you can program the driving experience. So you can set up an individual profile where you can set the dampers the way that you like, sport or normal. You can set the steering the way you like. You can set the amount of regen the way you like. Right now I'm in one pedal driving mode, and that feels pretty good driving around in mountainous conditions like this. Of course, you can set the level of one pedal drive, the amount of regen that you're getting. Right now it's pretty aggressive, and it sort of feels a little bit more than if I just came off the gas in a gas car. It feels a little bit like I'm shifting down to a lower gear. And so I can drive with just my right foot through here, which is cool for this kind of driving. So the car that this is going to be compared with the most, I think, is the Tesla Model 3 Performance. And in terms of outright performance, they're probably quite similar. Now the Tesla's going to be more efficient, but this is pretty quick. This is supposed to do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. But what you're getting here, as opposed to the Tesla, is you're getting this gorgeous interior. I think this is a really, really nice interior. The battery pack in here is an 83.9 kilowatt hour battery with 81.5 usable. So with these 20-inch tires, the range is 227 miles. And with DC fast charging, BMW says you can get up to 200 kilowatts, which is actually pretty quick. Let's talk about range and efficiency. So this car is supposed to go 227 miles on a single charge. So I started the day with 100%. I drove 155 miles so far, and right now I'm at about 12% state of charge, since I have 34 miles of range to go, so that's not a whole lot. So we are at Electrify America. Let's plug it in and see how long it takes to charge. All right, I'm gonna hit member. I'm gonna start it with my app. Okay, all right, looks like we're good to go. Oh, what a lovely green glow behind me. So the BMW is supposed to be able to charge at 200 kilowatts. Now that's actually pretty fast. Most cars max out at about 150, like my Mustang Mach-E, but some of the newer vehicles can actually charge faster, supposedly up to 350 kilowatts, depending on the vehicle. So 200 is pretty good, but this is only a 150 kilowatt station. So BMW says I should be able to get from 10 to 90% at a 200 kilowatt station in 30 minutes. Here we are at the 150 kilowatt station. Let's see how fast we're actually charging right now. It should be pretty good. It tells me I have 34 minutes left to get to 80%. And I've been in the charger for all of 4 minutes. Interesting. So in my Mustang Mach-E, it will get up to about 155, 156, something like that. Basically maxing out the charger. We're not really there yet. I would expect it to be a little bit higher, so not quite sure why that is. I've been charging for about 16 minutes. I've spent about $9. I've added over 100 miles, I think about 120 miles. I'm gonna head home and charge there where it's cheaper. It's gonna cost me about 50% less to charge up the rest of the way at home.
I'm sorry that I didn't understand you again. Maybe I still have to learn the command that you used.
Stop.
A series of sample
Cancel. BMW, cancel. This is a really great EV, and if you like BMW and you're looking for your first EV, I really think you're going to enjoy this. This is one of the best dynamically performing EVs I've driven. This handles incredibly well. You get pretty good steering feedback. The brakes are really good. and it's genuinely fun to drive around in the corners. I've got a Mustang Mach-E GT Performance, which I've taken to the track, and dynamically that's very good too. This is every bit that equal, perhaps, in fact, I would say it is even better. Now, the natural competitor, of course, is the Tesla Model 3 Performance, and the big difference there is that weighs anywhere from 900 to maybe 1,000 pounds less than this, and that is a big deal. So you're gonna get more range. You're obviously dealing with a Tesla interior, and that's this whole other situation. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. But if you want a BMW, you like the interior, you like the tech, you like the refinement in here, this is really good. I think BMW has done a great job with their first stab at an electric performance sedan. Is it the ultimate EV driving performance machine? I'm not really sure, but it's very good. If you enjoyed this video, there's another one over here. Go ahead and click it. My name is Eric. Thanks for watching.